Welcome to Soul Soldier Speaks, where we honor the warrior within each of us on life's battlefield. I'm your host, Lindsay Taylor. Here we stand with those on the front lines of their own lives, those battling suicidal thoughts, addiction, grief, and life's hardest challenges. We honor the loved ones standing beside those struggling and remember those we've lost. Each episode, we delve into raw, unfiltered conversations and stories of people who faced the darkest of nights and emerged with healing, transformation, and hope. Together, we will navigate the battlefield, focusing on the battles that save and restore. This podcast is more than stories. It's a rallying cry, an army of soul soldiers reclaiming the light one story at a time. Together, we rise. Welcome back to Soul Soldier Speaks, guys. Today, I have a guest that I'm super excited to have on the show, Christin Day.
Hi,
welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it is just such, I'm so grateful God connected our paths.
I agree 1,000%.
And Israel, you need to get on the podcast.
Absolutely.
I told him, I was like, will you be on the podcast? He ignored me. This was like a long time ago. So I'm like, he just wasn't time. But hopefully we can get him on because that's how we met.
call him my sponsee son. So mom is going to message you and you're going on the podcast.
Right. So for those of you that don't know, Israel is actually in my book. He's I shared briefly about people in chapter 8. So check out just a brief part of his story. And your husband was mentioned in it because he's been a huge part of Israel's recovery story. Israel has an amazing recovery story. So hoping to get him on because
you will.
It would be great. But absolutely, that's how we connected.
Yes.
And Christian, I feel like, is it Christin or Christian? Christin.
Yep.
Oh,
no, you're good.
Christin. As I was saying that, I'm like, I'm saying it wrong. So I actually was on Christin's podcast. You work for Crossroads Recovery. Yep. And so it's a podcast through Crossroads.
Through Crossroads, yep. It's called Recovery on Air.
Yes.
And we do a podcast just to bring different individuals on that have either had lived experiences of, the good, the bad, the miracles. And and we're just trying to spread awareness. So
yeah, that's awesome. It's so good. I did an episode with you and it turned out great.
It was amazing.
Yeah. So check that out. But it's interesting because when I came to do the podcast with you, you had just hung up the phone and had gotten some really tragic, sad news.
My little brother passed away. Yeah.
Yeah, share for a moment.
So me and my little brother, we did not grow up together. My dad and his second wife had him. And by the time he was like 9 months old, they had already divorced and left. And his mom raised him in Tennessee. So I rekindled a relationship with him 29 years later. And I was like, look, I love you. I just want to see you do good. He was going down a lot of wrong paths. And I flew him out here in February of 2022 or 2023. And he came out, it was 2023. He came out here and got his life together. And he did good for a little bit. And then he ended up leaving. But the blessing in all that is that I got a nephew, my godson out of this. And I get to help and be in his life. I got to be in the delivery room and all of that. So Matthew, like I said, he was very troubled and he went back out and he got sober this time. He went to Florida, got sober, moved back to Michigan to be around his little sister. And he had been on methadone. Which, listen, I have come to terms with MAT services and people utilizing them for the right reasons.
Sure.
And when we're drug addicts and we do so much damage to our body and we get sober and things happen, there's times that people pass away. And it just so happens that he went into cardiac arrest at a bus stop in Michigan and he died. And that was the call that I got off of when I was going to record your podcast with you. And I was just like, oh my gosh. So nothing in God's world happens by mistake.
No.
And now today I have set up this appointment and I've been so excited about coming and sharing. And my first sponsee ever. Like literally, she is my baby. You know, I've walked her through the steps. I've taken her to treatment so many times. I've literally been at the door of her dope man's house trying to kick down the door to get her out so that I could take her to treatment.
Wow.
And I got a message this morning that she had overdosed and she's on life support. So I'm going to need you. We're going to need some therapy for this one.
For real.
Yeah.
And so, you know, full body chills, first of all, you just said that. And when Christin told me that, when I saw it, like right before you were coming, just disbelief. And also, I believe that God wants us to talk about this and share this.
Absolutely.
And so I want to get into like you and your story a little bit. So I do want to get there, but this is so front and center.
It is.
And it's exactly why I do this podcast, is why you do your podcast. Right. It's why you recover out loud, and we'll get there with everything you do.
Absolutely.
But this issue is just so rampant.
Right.
And I mean, I've lived it. You've lived it. Like, it's just so, I mean, I said this in my last, my episode with Nate. I said, I will never run out of guests for this show, very sadly.
Absolutely.
Because this issue is so rampant. And so the fact that you got that news, and so you went to the hospital just before this.
Yes. And I was there holding her hand. I got to cut her hair so that we could donate her hair to Locks of Love. She has beautiful long red hair, literally to her butt. So I got to cut that before I left. And she went into an MRI at noon so that we could see if her organs are available for organ donation. So I'm waiting for that phone call to find out what that looks like. But she's completely brain dead. There's nothing that they can do to help her. So
that's what we faced with Alex. And
and it's crazy because I was talking to her mom, and it made me think of you. You know, that conversation, like she wants to get a hold of the phone and like look and see who did this, you know? Yeah. And like, granted, you're not going to bring her back. No. You know, but I have seen recently in the news that they are starting to charge people. And, you know, maybe that is where this is supposed to go. I don't know. I don't know what God has in store. But I know through this whole ugly situation, I can only hope and pray that her organs are able to be used, that she will be able to donate. I just had a friend that lost her husband last week, and he got to donate his liver, kidneys, and his heart.
Wow.
You know, and as an addict, like I think like a little morbid, but I'm thinking in my mind, like, how are you going to put a drug addict's organs in somebody else? Like, are they going to become a drug addict? You know what I mean? Like, these are things that start going through my mind. Like, are they going to have a want of getting high, and or are they going to get these organs and those organs are going to fail? Like, and I know they do extensive treatment on them and making sure all the little things, you know, are taken care of. But in my head, these things go.
Totally.
I totally think about these things.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's more a brain thing, right?
Yeah.
But making sure that our organs are good,
right?
You know.
Sure.
So tell us a little bit, though. She had been sober for a year.
She had been sober for a year.
Yeah. So I think that's another really important thing, because relapse is so common, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So this isn't the only relapse. This is not the only overdose where she's ended up in the hospital. I've been dealing with Taylor since 2018. Literally, like I said, she was my first sponsee. So this time around, though, you know, she ended up in prison, and she did 3 years in Perryville, and her and I would message back and forth. She got out in 2023, and I picked her up. And I got to pick her up from the gates, and within like 6 months, she had relapsed and was in the hospital. And you know, the boyfriend was like, "I'm not doing this with her. Like, she needs to go into treatment. She needs to go to sober living. All these things." And she did really good. And then she relapsed one more time, and then that time it like really scared her to her core that he was like, I can't keep doing this. You know, she's playing mommy to his daughter because her mom is off. And now this little girl walks in and sees her completely blue on the kitchen floor. And now we have to tell her son, also who's 10, that mommy isn't here anymore. And she's not coming back this time. So we don't think about these things. And you know, like I was telling you before we started to record, was like, it definitely is a reminder to me of why I do what I do, because that could be me.
100%.
I am one decision away from making my whole life go away. So, and I know that my purpose in life is to spread awareness and share and give hope. So that's why I do what I do.
Gosh, so much to unpack there. The fact of that ripple effect of, you know, she's losing her life very tragically, but then her son not having a mom, and her mom losing her daughter, and just the loss, and how, I mean, I think this hits obviously so close to home because I walked it so personally, and it's devastating. And so, Christin, like, what is the answer? Like, what? And I know if we had the answer, you know, that would be wonderful,
I had
right?
The cure, yeah.
Right? I wish, but like, what do you think would help people? What are we missing? Where are we missing the boat? Like, what needs to change?
Honestly, and like with Taylor's situation, it made me really think when I was in the hospital room earlier, is like, what isn't clicking with her? You know what I mean? And like, we're still spiritually sick. And that's why therapy is a big part. You know what I mean? Like, I can put the drugs and the alcohol down now, being 7.5 years sober. God has removed that obsession, but I still need to clean up the thoughts that go on in my head. And I need to heal from that past trauma, because things like this come up, you know?
Yeah.
And if I wasn't solid in my foundation, I could be right out there too.
So true. So true. This is really timely too. I just listened to a training this morning, and I'm still, it resonated so deeply, and I'm still like letting the truth sink in from it. And I want to go back and re-listen to it. And I took all kinds of notes, but she said something really profound that just like really hit me. And I feel like this is the key. It's just a matter of, we have to get this healing into more people's hands and this knowledge into more people's hands. But she talked about how we're body, soul, and spirit. We are all three. And in order for healing to happen, first of all, we have to acknowledge the parts that the body plays, the soul plays, and the spirit.
Absolutely.
But true healing happens from the spirit.
For sure.
And so, but again, we can't just focus on spirit. We can't just say, go read scripture, go to church, have a relationship with God. Like, those things matter, but that's not going to do it if you're not understanding the soul and the body connection. So the spirit is where the healing takes place. But if you're not understanding the soul and the body, and trauma, we have neural pathways. So that, you know, creates these, that's where we draw our lens of like our perceptions from. And so sometimes trauma re-triggers us because it's a loop and a pattern that becomes stuck in our minds. So there's all kinds of layers to this, but it really resonated because she said, you know, the body is motivated by pain and pleasure.
Right.
So that's what we do in the body. Yeah. That's what we need, as we seek that. It's a worldly, she said, like body is living in the worldly arena, and we pain and pleasure. And then she said the soul needs comfort. The soul is where we seek comfort. And so if we're not feeling that comfort, that's when we turn to these vices.
For sure.
And then
to numb those feelings
yes,
out.
And the soul is our mind, will, and let me get this wrong. Mind, will, and emotions. Wow. That's the soul. And so much happens in the soul. In fact, all the brokenness that we feel and face, and all the struggle, so much of what we do in life is informed by our emotions, and we let that have power. And so that's coming from the soul. And then spirit is the Godhead, is what she called it. So soul is self, body is world, and spirit is God. And so anyway, it's just a very, I know, like so dissecting crazy. That down, right?
It is.
Right?
It is. Yeah. And just like looking at that whole situation, like she's been broken since her dad passed away last year. And I know that was a root to a lot of this, and her losing her dad, and she just wanted to numb those feelings out.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
And I kept telling her, like, you need to get into some therapy. You need to get into some grief therapy. I mean, I have to take my own, advice now because
Totally.
The death that I've dealt with these last, just 2025 alone, losing my son's girlfriend and losing one of our tattoo artists, and now this, or before that, I lost a friend from Crossroads. She was sober and her heart gave out. I lost her in May, and now this, and I'm just like, okay, God, like, I see you, but like, why do we keep doing this? Like, why? Like, I don't know physically that I can really take on any more deaths. Like, I feel like I'm always at the hospital, So, yes.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is. And so, again, there's so much that I need to unpack from that training this morning, but it was really enlightening that, like, the healing is always going to happen in spirit. And she talked about how the enemy is what gets in when our soul, when our emotions are leading, and that's when the enemy creeps in. And she said, so, if it's not feeling like freedom, then I know it's not from Christ.
Right.
And so anything else that we're experiencing that doesn't feel like freedom, we need to question that.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we
get rid of it.
Yes.
Get it out.
We need to get back in connection with God. And so I think I see how it really made me understand the whole body healing, or not whole body, but whole man, whole self healing, but where those disconnections happen and where we become broken, because in the spirit side, we're whole. We just forgot. We forget when we came to the world, we're disconnected sometimes from that spirit side.
Absolutely.
So it's a whole thing, but I think it's obviously, if we had the answer, we wouldn't be sitting here.
Oh my gosh.
But I think, like I said, even what I learned this morning from that, I'm like, if we could get that knowledge into more people's hands then have people actually walk the healing journey, go to therapy, do these things that integrate body, soul, spirit. Like, we need to integrate all. You can't just do one and not the other,
And listen, like, these 30-day stints at treatment,
I know,
we're not going to unpack all that.
Nope.
It takes work after all that. After you go to a 30-day treatment, try to get into IOP. And I always tell the people that are going in is, like, utilize each point as a stepping stone. You know what I mean? Like, okay, you're going here to detox to get the monkey off your back. Now you're going into a 30-day treatment or 45-day treatment so that you can start getting your thoughts and feelings, and building a foundation.
Yes.
And then once you do that and you're going into IOP, these are the times where we can utilize going to a therapist and starting to peel those layers back on that onion to see why I do what I do.
Exactly.
And that's where I am right now, is why I do what I do.
Yeah.
And I do this for this simple reason right here.
Totally.
So
it just felt so important to, like, talk right away about that, because it is so interesting that each time we've come together, you've experienced a huge loss.
I'm
related
like, okay,
to
God.
I
see you.
Right. And it sounds like your brother's loss was because of all the damage he had done to his body through drugs.
Yep.
So maybe if it's not even directly related to an overdose, it's the damage that's done.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, like I was telling you off air, is like, I always try to look at the God in everything. You know what I mean? And like with my little brother, I got to go and I got to be there for my dad, and I got to fly out to California and see him and make an amends to him and an amends to my stepmom, even though she's not all there, suffering from Alzheimer's and dementia. And I got to see her family and make an amends to them for the way that I was at 10, 11 years old, So there is a bigger picture in all of it. And I'm just grateful that, are there days that are hard? Absolutely. Are there days I kind of don't want to get up and do this? Absolutely.
100%.
So
we set off, I told you off air, I said, I mentioned in my book that even when we face these tragedies, I talk about how the battle was never lost because God uses our pain in these things and it can be turned to good.
Pain to purpose.
Yes. And so, like, for example, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing had I not walked the path I've walked with losing Alex and several people close to me to suicide. And, and so it's those experiences that have led me here to do this work. And same with you.
Absolutely.
Right. And then, like you said, that loss allowed you to then go and see your family and make amends. And so you can find that the battle is never lost. Like God can turn everything to good if we keep our minds open to that.
For sure.
So yes, I full-heartedly believe, obviously there's something far beyond our human comprehension to all our lives and stories.
Absolutely.
And if we can find the meaning amid the wreckage, right?
Mm-hmm.
It does totally transform.
It will.
Our grief and everything. It doesn't change. It doesn't make it easier.
Right.
It doesn't ultimately fix it. I think grief, these losses that you face, I mean, there will be some level of it will always be there, but
this one will definitely.
Yeah, this one will stick. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So.
But it will be something that I'm sure it will continue to guide you on your path and the work you do. It will become a part of her love and light living in you and working its way out into others, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
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 So
I'm so tragic. I know.
But thank you.
Right?
Thank you for, helping me get through this. And like I said, nothing in God's world happens by mistake.
No.
So I was not canceling this or anything.
I think it needed to be talked about. This is just raw, real, just open, just doing this right here, right now. We're just processing this together. I mean, like I said, I'm still trying to process what I learned this morning so once that truth sinks deeper into me, I want to share it with the world because I think it is so helpful. But
I'm so excited.
Yeah, we just need to process these things out
For
loud
sure.
and talk and because this is what this is all about. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like you're just coming straight from
the hospital.
To
I was like, I had to go to the office and put my eyelashes on and try to clean my face up a little bit because I didn't go in there with any makeup on. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go to the office, put my makeup on real quick. And people walk in and they're like, what are you doing? They never see me with no makeup. Like I always come put together. So they're like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Are you sure? Yeah, everything's fine. So but here I am. So,
well, Christin, let's switch gears for just a little bit because I want people to hear your story.
Absolutely.
And I mean, this is why you have sponsees and this is why you're sitting in this chair doing what you're doing. So tell us a little bit about, first of all, I want to hear about like really your rock bottom and maybe rock bottom is many. I mean, I think sometimes rock bottom is layers, right? But I want to hear about your struggle that you faced and how you've ultimately come on the other side of that. But just who are you as a person? Like so fun, so spunky. Look at this. So just who's Christin first and foremost?
So I've always been like very colorful. I got tattoos when I was younger because my parents told me I couldn't. I was one of those ones that snuck around and did things. So my sobriety date is 11/22/17. God willing, I'll have 8 years in November. But, like childhood, my dad was an alcoholic and he was in the military. So we moved around a lot. I'd get comfortable. We'd move. My parents ended up getting a divorce when I was 9 and I moved with my mom and my little sister. And in the midst of all that, my parents had another child as well. In between me and my sister, they gave her up for adoption. She was very sick and taking care of her was not, it was just too much. Mm-hmm. They couldn't do it. And that weighed on my family a lot. I think that had a lot to do with my dad's drinking and just my mom spiraling out sometimes as well. But I moved with my mom and my mom got married at a young age. So like she had me when she was 19. And by the time I was 1, like we moved to Germany and got stationed over there. So like being away from her family and not having anybody and then having my little sister and again, going through all of that. Like I remember we lived in the Ronald McDonald house for a little while.
Wow.
Yeah. 'Cause it was so bad. And then they found her adopted parents and they kept in contact. And then a long time after, I think it was like 95, 96. I believe is when she passed away, possibly. Timelines are, you know, still a little blurry. But like I said, so I have, you know, my little sister Brittany, and her and I, you know, she's 7 years apart from me. So we were really close. And my mom started dating and bringing guys home. And my thing is like, you're not my dad. I don't have to listen to you. And I would act out. And then my mom would be like, oh my God, I'm sending you to your dad's house. Like, we're not doing this. Because I would cause so much chaos. And so I would go to my dad, and my dad got remarried. And this was after Matthew was alive. So he got married to another lady, and she started having kids, you know. And this brings like a point to me, like the relationship that I had with my stepmom, she was very hard on me. And I was an outcast, you know. I am my mother's child. So she didn't want me around her children. So anyways, I would go back and forth. You know, I'd go to my mom's house, and then they would send me back to my dad's, and vice versa, until 96 when I moved out here for good. So 96, I moved out here, and I moved in with my mom and my stepdad and my little sister Brittany. And again, like, I was a hellion, you know. I would rebel so much, and my stepdad was super strict on me. So I feel like being super strict, like, I just wanted to act out, you know? So
it often has the opposite effect.
Absolutely. You know, and I try to process these things while I'm raising my 2 bonus children now, is like, I don't ever want them to feel that there's a disconnect between me and their mothers. I don't ever want them to feel like they're an outcast and like I don't love them. And I love them so hard, you know. I don't want them to ever feel like, oh, I'm the stepchild, and, you know, I've done Christmases with their parents. I've everything, birthday parties, like.
That is so important. That alone, like this alone is, I feel like when there is tension in those relationships, it just causes the kids to suffer. And that's what you experience.
We feel it. They wouldn't even be in the same room together. Yeah. Like, my mom and my stepdad would not be in the same room with my dad or my stepmom, and vice versa, you know? So growing up and feeling that was rough.
Yeah. And I want to acknowledge, easier said than done. I get it. I mean, there's a reason why they ended up divorcing or separating, and why, you know, but man, we have to understand as adults, when we can't get along, what that does to the kids. For sure. And it really, it's trauma in many ways. And so, 1000%. Wow, amazing that you've taken that experience and have been able to set aside whatever emotions you might have, you know, or feelings or, you know, perceptions, whatever it is, but to be able to have a healthy relationship for the kids.
And it's helped me heal in ways that, you know, dealing with my trauma from being a child and being raised in that environment. So I swore that I would never make them feel like that. So I moved here in 96, and I was a band geek. I played the clarinet, and I was in marching band, and I just wanted to fit in. You know, I just wanted to be loved, and I just wanted to be accepted. So everything that everybody else was doing around me, I did. And at that time, you know, my girlfriends were having sex, and I was starting to smoke weed and drinking and all those things. And my problem is that I walk by you, I get pregnant. You look at me, I get pregnant. And I was 14 and I got pregnant.
Wow.
And I remember going to my mom and letting her know, and she's like, we're going to Planned Parenthood and you're getting an abortion. Like, you have no business bringing a child into this world. And I did. And I got an abortion at 14. And again, it causes a lot of trauma.
I was going to say, you know? Yeah, that's got to be such a hard decision to make.
For sure.
Wow.
So I go through that, and I go to the charter school across the street from Deer Valley High School, where all the fuck ups go, you know, like, I wanted to graduate. That was my biggest thing, is I never wanted to be a statistic. Like, I wanted to make sure that I graduated, but I was following in other girls' footsteps and skipping school. And I'll show my age right now because Metro Center was the hangout. And I would go to Metro Center Mall with my girlfriend skipping school. And I was 16 at this time, and I met a guy. And again, like, you walk by me, I get pregnant, and I was like, oh, you have a nice butt. And he's walking up the escalator, I'm walking down. Boom, I get pregnant.
Oh, no.
Literally. So now I go to my parents a year and a half later, and I'm like, hey, like, I'm pregnant, but I want to keep them. I want to keep the baby, and I'm going to keep the baby. You're not going to make me go through an abortion again. And I want to be with this guy. And my mom's like, okay. And I came to her and asked her if I could get married. And she let me get married at 16.
Wow.
Yeah. So now I'm pregnant, married, and we have our own apartment. And I graduate. I graduated a year and a half early. So like I said, when I was set into that,
You did it.
I did it. You know, I went to a teen parenting school where before him and I had our apartment, like, I got up at 4:30 in the morning. I got on that bus, took it from 51st and Union Hills to 3rd Avenue and Roosevelt every day so that I could work at my own pace and I could graduate. And I was 4 months pregnant with my son, and I walked across that aisle and got my high school diploma.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is incredible. I mean, graduating high school alone is
Pregnant.
a whole feat. Yeah, but to do that pregnant.
And married at the time.
And married,
Right.
yes. Wow.
So, you know, I'm going through all these things, and I start having some complications with my pregnancy. And I was about 6 months pregnant, and my husband had just came back from boot camp. He had joined the military, and I ended up losing my son. I had a miscarriage at 6 months. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know this.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
The loss. Oh.
So I lose my son. Like, we have this nursery built and everything in our apartment, like everything, you know, I'm starting to buy all these things. And like I said, my husband had, you know, went to boot camp, and I find out right after my miscarriage that my husband cheated on me. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm mourning the death of my son now. And now I'm dealing with my husband's infidelity. And I was like, I can't do this. Like, I'm not going to do this. And he ends up getting shipped over to Fort Hood, Texas, which is crazy because that's where I was born. So he calls me, and I stay in our apartment. He moves all his stuff to Texas, and I stay. And again, like, I'm suppressing myself with drugs and alcohol, because I don't know how to deal with these feelings. Don't know how to deal with
those emotions.
I even went and worked for a daycare center thinking like me working with babies was going to help me deal with the death of my son.
Wow.
And rewind just a little bit, like, the death of my son was so traumatic. Going through all of that, like, he fell out of me in the toilet, not to get really, you know, deep into it, but like, umbilical cord, and like, I almost died, and they air vac'd me from Surprise all the way to Good Sam. You know, my husband didn't realize how extensive it was, and coming and thinking like I gave birth, that he thought that we had my son, and we didn't. Like, I lost him. And just going through all of that, like, they had my son, a stillborn, in a plastic bag in between my legs, in the flight to the hospital, air vacuuming me, you know? So like, unpacking all of that too, I'm like, oh my gosh. And now, like, my husband and infidelity. So he moves to Texas. I stay here. He calls me like a month and a half, 2 months later, and is like, I want to make this work. Like, we're married. And at this time I'm 17, and I'm like, okay, like, I don't have anything going here for me. So why not go and try to salvage my relationship? And I get out there, and of course I end up pregnant again, and a baby's going to fix everything.
Oh, yeah. I understand that.
It does not fix everything.
Yep. I've heard that time and time again.
So he, he's again cheating on me with the neighbor down the way, and I'm pregnant now, and I'm stuck in this lease. He goes back to the barracks on base. I stay out here, or I stay out in Texas in our apartment, and I'm about 9 months pregnant, and he gets dishonorably discharged from the military. And I call my mom, and I'm crying, and I'm like, I can't do this. Like, they're taking my insurance away, and I need you to fly here and come get me, because I'm going to have this baby and I have nobody here, So my mom flies out to Texas, and she moves me back here, and within 2 weeks I have my son. So I moved back here in 2001, and I start my whole life over again. And I filed for divorce, and I did good for a little while. I got a scholarship to ASU West for elementary education, and I was doing, big things. I moved out of my parents. I got my own apartment. My divorce was finalized. I was working 3 jobs. I was doing an internship at one of the jobs as a teacher's aide. I was working on the weekends to, as a server, so that I could pay my bills. His dad wasn't paying me child support, and I'm going to college full time. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm really doing this, and thank God for my parents, my mom and my stepdad. They really helped me, and they've raised my son. So my son was about 1.5 years old, and I had got introduced to some people, and I started delivering meth. At first, I wasn't doing it, and then I was like, oh, let me just do a little bump. I'll do a little bump here, and then that way I can go to school. I can work my 3 jobs. I can come home, do my homework, take care of my son. Well, now I know I'm an addict. Anything that I put into my body, I can't stop. I end up getting arrested. I had sold 2 ounces of meth to an undercover cop. And in the midst of all of this, I'm also pregnant with a little girl. And so my parents take temporary guardianship of my son, and they've raised my son. Like I said, he's 24 now, but they raised him, and now I'm pregnant with this little girl, and I'm in jail, and I'm calling my mom, like, please help me. And my mom's like, absolutely not. Like, you need to live through these situations. So I lose my scholarship. I get fired. I lose, I lose all my jobs.
Lose everything.
I lose the apartment. Like, life is completely unmanageable. And I'm in jail, and I'm 6 months pregnant with my daughter. And, I'm thinking like, oh, the guy that I was, he was my dealer, and like, he's going to help me, and, he's going to get me out. He would never leave me in here. And he did. He let me be in there, was worried about himself. So, my parents started coming and visiting me with my son, and I was in there for 3 months in county. And it's crazy because I get to go into that same pod, and I get to take a meeting in there every Sunday.
I know. I want to talk about that.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, that's amazing.
So, I go, and, my mom starts going to Al-Anon, and she's learning about tough love, and she's not going to co-sign my BS anymore. And I'm like, Mom, like, please, like, don't let me have her in here. And she gets me out. She bonds me out. But the stipulation to bonding me out was that I had to find a treatment center that I could go to with my daughter. They didn't want to raise, my daughter, because they already had my son. Their hands were full. They're grandparents, like 50 something years old. And now
not easy.
It's not. So, I get out, and I go to treatment, and I find a treatment center that I can have my daughter. And this is God in my life, is that little girl came out 3 weeks early, 9 pounds, 22.5 inches long, and not a trace of meth in her.
Wow.
And I'm so grateful for me going to jail and going through that, because I would have probably used the whole 9 months. months, you know? It gave my body a moment to like be able to be pregnant and not have substances in me.
Yes.
And she came out absolutely perfect, you know?
Can we talk about that for just a minute?
Absolutely.
Because I worked with birth moms placing their child for adoption, and many of them were doing the adoption because they were on drugs.
Right.
And I always say that I think it's the most brave and courageous decision a woman can make, whether they're on drugs or not. I don't care what the situation is.
Yeah.
Drugs do not change the love you have for your child.
Right.
They do change your priorities, and they get in the way, and they cause this sort of stuff where your parents, for example, ended up raising your son.
Yep.
Didn't mean you loved him any less, but it's just drugs have that insurmountable stronghold on you. So I saw this. I saw the mom's love for their children. Yeah. And then I also saw how strong the drugs were. And so, can you just like speak to that for a minute? Like, cause you said like, I probably would have used the whole pregnancy, like the mindset in that, like yeah.
So really quick before I get into that, I get out, I go to treatment. My daughter was born December 17th, Christmas time. Like my parents are coming and visiting me. They're like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you. My problem is men. So like I can put the drugs and alcohol down, but men are my number one addiction. Absolutely. So I meet this girl in CMA when I'm doing meetings, and like I'm going to become a lesbian. I don't recommend it. And you know, this is going to fix my problem and everything's going to be fine. And I'm going to raise
lies
this,
we tell ourselves.
Right. And I'm going to raise this little girl, and she's a stripper. So we would go to our meetings, and then we would drop the kids off at the babysitters, and she would disappear at the strip club for like 30, 45 minutes. I'm sitting in the back of the strip club, like holding all of her money, and she's getting high. And I have no coping skills at this time. So I get high with her to numb out, you know? And what I thought was like 8 to 10 hours of leaving that little girl at the babysitter's was like 2 to 3 days. And
wow, isn't that crazy how it makes you lose track?
For sure. So it wasn't just some random person. Like I know this person very well. I've known him over half my life. And I asked them to adopt my daughter, and I gave my daughter up for adoption. It is an open adoption. She's 21. She's thriving in life. Like, I don't know where I would be right now without her adopted parents, because they're a huge part of my recovery story and allowing me, to be in her life and watch her grow up. Like they've always had an open door policy with me.
I love that.
And when we get into more of it, I'll even tell you, like this time around, like they allowed me to get sober and move in. And I got to repair a bond with my daughter, you know?
That's right. I forgot you shared this with me when we briefly talked about your story after my podcast. Oh, that's right.
So I gave her up for adoption, and I got to, be there. And again, I'm doing meth every day and I can't stop, you know? And I meet this guy because I'm not a lesbian, and he's 45 and I'm 22, and I'm like, oh my God, I love him. He's a biker and tattoo artist and owns tattoo shops. And I'm like, oh, you know, and I'm bringing him home to my mom and stepdad. And my mom's like, Christin, he is the same age as me. And I'm like, age is just a number. Like, I love him. And I got clean and I got sober and I started, doing good. And I'm seeing my daughter and I'm seeing my son, and my mom's like, okay, like, I guess you're doing good. Like, I can't complain about him being 45. So, her adopted parents are allowing me to come and get her for a couple hours and take her to the park or whatever. And, I end up pregnant. I get pregnant with his child, and, I think to myself, like, this is my chance to be the mom that I'm supposed to be. And I wish that I could say that it was. I was good for a little bit. He was going home to California on the weekends to check on the tattoo shop, so he says. and he was actually going home to check on his wife and kids.
Oh, geez. And
my men picker
this?
is not good. So thank God. God
can relate to that.
Yes. God placed my husband in my life because thank God I didn't pick him, you know?
Yeah, you have an amazing husband now. We'll get to him.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm pregnant, you know, I'm 6 months pregnant. I find this out and I'm just like, wow, like, are you freaking kidding me? I move in with my daughter's adopted parents, and then a couple months later, I got my own apartment. My problem is that, so I have my daughter, I move into this apartment. My problem is that I use meth as a weight loss drug. So I know that if I do meth for 30 days after I have this baby, I've had her, I can lose 30 pounds and I'll be good, you know? And I'm doing great. I'm working my own apartment. I'm seeing my other 2 children. I'm raising my little girl, and I start doing meth again so that I can lose the baby weight. And again, I can't stop. So I meet another guy and I get married, and this little girl is going through all of this, and he has a pill addiction. So he's not about meth. He's like, you've got to stop. So I stop, but I go to pills. And then I do the Suboxone maintenance for a little bit. And then I'm drinking and you know, taking Suboxone, and then I get divorced from him and I go to another relationship. And in 2015, I got introduced to the needle and I got introduced to heroin, and it was on and popping. With a matter of 32 days from sticking a needle in my arm, I lost my place. I lost my house, my car, my kid. And I end up with DCS in my life. My little sister.
How old was your kid at this time?
She was 10.
Okay.
Yep, she was 10. And I was in a domestic violence situation. I had already been divorced. I was in another relationship, left him, was in another one. And this one was just the devil himself, you know, between introducing heroin to me and introducing the needle, it was just took me to my knees, you know? And you would think like getting DCS in your life, like you're going to open your eyes and you're going to realize like, get your shit together or you're going to lose your kid. And I finally got away from him because he's my drug. I know that if I just get away from him for long enough, I can get sober, do good things. And I get sober and I go to treatment. I'm going through treatment and I'm about 9 months sober, and I get out of treatment. I graduate. I go back to my mom and stepdad's. I was 3 weeks away from my reunification date with my daughter, and I ended up getting high. And I lost her, and my rights were severed, and she was adopted by my little sister, and I didn't see her for 3 years. And the guilt and shame from that is unbearable. I went on that relapse for 1.5 years. I didn't really talk to anybody. You know, I would go see my son a little bit. I would go see my adopted daughter a little bit. But Lolo, my youngest one, she wanted nothing to do with me, and I don't blame her. She's seen a lot. She's seen me getting drugs. She's seen my ex beating the shit out of me, you know, like walking in the room and my head is gushing blood from him stabbing me with a butter knife, and like. And
she was 10. Like she's
10.
old enough.
Yes, she knows what's going on. Yeah. And she's like, Mom, like, please leave him. And I'm like, no, it'll never, like, it's not, I fell, I hit my head. It wasn't, you know, like I'm lying to myself. So like I said, I go to treatment. I'm doing great. I go on that relapse and I'm just spiraling out of control. And I go back to him because that's all I feel I deserve, you know, and there's no DCS or anything in my life at this point because I had lost everything. So I'm just wasting my life away. And at this time, like, my parents have really wash their hands. My sister wants nothing to do with me. My daughter's adopted parents, they came and got me a couple times, but she would keep me for 24 hours and then I would go back, you know?
Yeah.
And I end up having like this moment of like clarity of like, if you don't come and get me right now, like I'm going to die. He's either going to kill me or I'm going to die with a needle in my arm. And I call my sister. I'm on probation at this point, and I'm like, I'm done. And she's like, what's the difference between any other time? Like, they've come and got me and set it all up, and I went to treatment, and I end up going back to him. She's like, what's going to be different this time? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know what's going to be different, but I'm really done, and I don't want to live like this anymore. And my dad and my stepmom, before her Alzheimer's really took over, they came and got me in the middle of the night, and they took me to my daughter's adopted parents' house. And this is where I tell you, like, they're a huge part of my recovery. So they allowed me to come to their house, and they gave me a room. And I probably could have went to treatment, you know, but this time around, like I was still working, and they allowed me to go in and stay there. And I got to repair this, you know, this bond with my daughter of like not being there for her, you know, and I got really close with her. And this time, like, I wasn't doing it to appease DCS. I wasn't doing it to appease my family. I was finally doing it for myself. And when I share my story, like I tell people, is like, your kids are a good motivator, but you're never going to stay sober for them. I'm living proof. I had everything in the palm of my hand, and I got cocky, like, oh, I got this. Like, I'm 7.5 years sober. I don't have shit, you know? I have to remain, you know, willing and open-minded to all these things. Otherwise, I'm going to lose it all.
Totally.
So I get sober this time, and I jump back into recovery because I know what I need to do. And I get a sponsor, and I thoroughly start working these steps. And like I said, like last time, it was like I had 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You know, I wasn't peeling back those layers.
Right.
And I really started like doing some extensive work, you know.
Finally dealing with the shit that was going on deep in your heart. And, yeah.
You know, so I do these steps, like my life depends on it. And I get involved in recovery, and I start working in treatment when I was about 9 months sober. And that's a whole other level on itself. Like, you know, helping somebody get into treatment and walking them through those steps is amazing, you know.
So rewarding.
Yes, it is. And then, you know, I'm about 2 years sober, and I was seeing my sister, but I wasn't being able to see my daughter. And we had some issues with my mom. My mom was abusing benzos and pain pills, and me and my sister, you know, went in and kind of gave her like an ultimatum. And I was at my sister's house, but I wasn't allowed to go in because my daughter was in there and she didn't want to see me. And my daughter had texted my sister and said, I think I'm ready to see her. And I was like, oh my God, like I've waited 3 years for this. And like, don't make it weird. Don't cry. Like, try to hold yourself together. And I got to see her for the first time. And I was just like, wow. Like, she was 14 at this time, you know, and she's all grown up. And I'm like, oh my God, like I missed out on so much.
How was that experience?
Whew, it was a lot, you know. I was so angry with my sister for taking her. And I was angry at the fact that I'd missed out on so much. But I know, like, working through it, like, my daughter wouldn't be where she is today if it wasn't for that situation, you know?
Yeah.
So I
Well, and what would have been the alternative if your sister didn't take your daughter?
Either she would have ended up in foster care,
Yeah.
you know? I mean, there were some other options. My daughter's adopted parents were going to.
Got it.
They were going to fight, but my sister fought harder.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
you know, and again, like everything happens for a reason.
Sure.
And I just want to show this little girl that I'm not the same person. And I'll tell you, even again, 7.5 years sober, like that little girl still keeps me at arm's distance.
Yeah.
She's scared, you know,
Sure.
and I don't blame her. And
she had all these neural pathways formed around that trauma.
Right.
And so it's hard to,
Is she going to relapse? Is she going to go back to him? Is she going to do this? Is she going to do that?
Yeah.
And I don't blame her. You know, my other son and my daughter, like, they don't know that part.
Sure.
They didn't see all the things that she's seen. So, you know, my relationship with my children today, I have a relationship with all three of them. Like I said, my youngest, she still keeps me at arm's distance, and there's still work that needs to be done.
Sure.
But it has to be at her pace. I can't force it. I can't make her want to have a relationship with me.
I love that you honor that.
I do. Because like I said, the extensive therapy that I've done and the guilt and shame that I've worked through has got me to that point. Yeah. You know? Mm-hmm. So I just start doing this stuff like my life depends on it. And I you know, I'm sponsoring girls and I meet this guy, and again, all God. I'm at a CA convention in 2019 and I meet my husband and I'm like, oh my God. And now I liked older guys. So my husband is younger, 7 years younger. He's actually, yes. So I'm going to be 43. He's 36.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
I didn't know that.
I love this man. Like the first day that I met him, I looked at my girlfriend that we were in the hotel and I was like, I'm going to marry that guy one day. And she's like, you're crazy. And I'm like, I'm serious. And here we are.
And this time you picked a good one.
Yeah. Well, God picked him for me. God picked him for me. And
it's always God doing the right things.
Yeah. Yeah.
When we try and lead our own lives and do it, it doesn't work. Yeah.
It does. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. So I just know about your husband through what I see through Israel and you know, social media. And it seems like he just does some incredible things for recovery, helping people, sponsoring people.
Yes.
Yeah. So both of you together, it's like a power duo.
Yes. So getting into that though, like he has to do his program and I have to do mine. And then we meet in the middle, you know, like I can't take his inventory. He can't take mine. So we get together in August of 2019, September, we make it official. October, we move in together. November, DCS comes knocking at our door and his baby's mom is one of us. And, she had gotten the kids taken away and we had the opportunity to get his son full time. And I was like, holy shit. First of all, he's 3 years old. He came with a sippy cup. He would only eat bacon, pizza rolls, and chicken nuggets from McDonald's. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? Like my kids are grown, 24, 21, and 20. Like, oh my God, you know? And he looks at me and he's like, are you going to ride with me? And I was like, absolutely. I'm going to ride this till the wheels fall off. And we fought that DCS case and we were awarded sole custody of his son. And I got to raise that little boy like he's my own. And at that time, like, yes, I was seeing my daughter, but the guilt and the shame from not raising my kids, and it was a lot.
I bet.
You know? And I'm unpacking all of this and I'm like, how am I going to raise him when I couldn't raise my children?
So how did you get through that?
honestly, the first couple years was a lot, and then on top of all of this, I'm dealing with his mom coming in and out of his life. So the first year was great because this is when I'm building this relationship with her. She's sober. She's awarded her other kids, but we have sole custody of Ryder. And we're doing birthdays together, and we're doing, Christmas. Like, she had Ryder one year, and we went over there to do Santa and everything. And yeah. And then him and I got married in November of 2021, and some things started going downhill with her, and she ended up getting loaded, and I got her into treatment. And in the midst of all this, he has another child from a different woman, and she came to be our flower girl in our wedding, and said that she wants to come and move from Indiana to Arizona and be with her dad. So now I have 2 kids. Now they're 9 and 11, but I've had her for 3 years as well. And I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Wow.
And now she's 11. And mind you, this is when I lost Lolo. So going through all of these things, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and I'm starting to backpedal a little bit, I'm really uncomfortable in my skin. I was 250 pounds. And again, I start thinking oh, I can just do meth for a little bit. Thank God I didn't.
Right.
I ended up going and getting gastric bypass.
Oh, wow. Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know you had that.
Yes. So I went to Mexico and I got gastric bypass. And I've lost 120 pounds.
Yeah, you look amazing.
It's
oh my
crazy.
gosh.
It's getting comfortable in my skin again, So I'm raising these 2 children, and I'm going through, the results of having my gastric bypass. Thankfully, everything was amazing. Going to Mexico was the best thing for me. And I did it with no pain pills or anything. I did it with a little bit of tramadol, but no narcotics,
Yep.
And I came back here and I'm working in recovery, and I'm doing all the things, and I start shedding this weight off, and I had already been modeling, but my modeling took off to a different level. And, before I get into all of that though, I started, seeking some outside therapy, because I really needed to peel these layers back, and I needed to, start forgiving myself.
So key.
Otherwise I was going to get loaded.
Yeah.
And I was just spiraling, and I was bleeding on to my husband.
I love that you say bleeding on. When we don't deal with ourselves, when we don't heal, we bleed onto others. Yeah.
And my biggest motto is if you don't heal from your past trauma, you're going to bleed onto others that have never hurt you.
So true.
And I didn't want to do that. And so I started, outside therapy, and him and I do marriage counseling. So we do one-on-one therapy. He does one-on-one therapy. Then we do couples therapy. And then vice versa, same thing over and over. So usually we'll do marriage counseling every month and a half.
Yeah.
And we do the one-on-one therapy. He does it with the same therapist that I do it with.
Okay.
Which is different,
right.
But she is able to help us process things better, So yeah.
Wow.
So I've been in therapy for the last 2 years.
And has that been such a huge...
Oh my gosh.
Learning how to actually deal with the feelings
for sure.
And not just suppress and stuff and numb out. Because as I'm listening to you talk, that is at the root of addiction, is the desire to escape and numb out, not feel it.
For sure.
You don't know how else to deal with it.
For sure.
Wow.
So she has literally been able to help me process and get over this guilt and shame. And in the midst of all this, I've been able to become the mother that I'm supposed to be.
What has been the most helpful thing that she's helped you understand in this process of letting go and guilt and shame?
Honestly, like opening my eyes and realizing that I am worthy of this and that I am able to be the mom that I was supposed to be, you know? And getting into that a little bit is like, thank God I was in therapy. And thank God I was able to process these emotions because I'm just waiting for that message from my daughter. And I know it's coming. I've waited 9 years for that message of like, why couldn't you get sober and stay sober for me, but you got sober and you're able to raise these kids? Mm-hmm. And I said, honey, like your feelings are absolutely valid and you are allowed to feel that way. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to be strong and get sober and stay sober for you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
All I can do is just show you that I'm a different person now, and my actions will speak louder than my words because she's heard all the bullshit before.
Of course.
You know,
Yeah.
She's heard it over and over.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. And I do it.
And sadly, sometimes it takes life experience and just going through enough on your face. Like as I'm hearing you talk, it was like you would get clean for a little bit and then back down and then you get clean. Like that's I think the life of an addict so much is this, you know? And so, but I think after so many years, like what you said, when your mom said, what's going to be different this time? Like the final, you just had enough.
I did.
And so sadly, it has nothing to do with your kids, has nothing to do with your love for your kids. And that's hopefully something your daughter will be able to understand one day. Granted, those feelings, you're right, are completely valid. Right. And I love that you validated that. Yeah. Right. But sadly, it just takes us falling enough times sometimes and life experience to get that wisdom and to get to that place where we're tired of it and done.
So like I said, now I get to raise these 2 kids, and the love for your children, your blood children, are never going to, you know, it's never going to be
There's
different.
an innate, I talk about this a lot because I'm a stepmom too, you know, but we raise the kids. And so I've never even called them my stepkids. I always say my kids, you know, and bonus kids. I love that. Kids. We talk about that too. Well, we had a foster kiddo for a while. And now I always say she'll always forever be my bonus kid. Absolutely. She's back with her parents. And I interviewed Randy.
That's amazing.
I just had him on too. Yes.
I love that.
Yeah. So I love blended families, and I'm all about that. But there is, to your point, there's just, and it just is what it is. Not good or bad. It's
I don't love them any differently.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yes. There's not a different love, but there's an innate connection and bond that you have with biological that.
Yeah. Like I said, you know, so Harmony comes and she lives with us, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like.
This is your youngest.
This is Ian's youngest.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
And Lolo sends me the text, like, how can you raise those kids when you couldn't raise me? And again, thankful I'm in therapy because I process this with my therapist, and she's like, her feelings are valid.
Totally. She's allowed to feel that way.
But I have literally built this foundation that I'm not going to go get high over this.
Yeah.
And I'm refuse. I'm going to let her feel all these feelings, and I'm going to open my mind to being a better role model and being a better mom to these kids because they need me.
Yes.
So, like I said, Harmony is now 11, and I've gotten to do some amazing things with her that I never got to do. Like, I just got to take her to church camp last week, and like going to church camp and like dropping her off, I was crying. And my husband's like, are you okay? And I was like, I'm just so grateful for these experiences that I get to experience with her of her first time doing things. She just started her period. I never got to do any of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, this is my second chance in life to go through all of these things. So, back 2 years ago, 2.5 actually, Harmony came to me and she said that she wanted to get baptized. And it was that moment, like, So we did the classes together, and then we got baptized on January 21st together. My husband and the pastor of our church baptized me. But I'll tell you, like, that was the pivotal moment in my life where I went under that water and I came back up, and it was like everything was washed off of me. Like all that guilt and all of that shame, like it was washed away, and I could finally breathe, and I could get through these things without crying or being like in a dark place. Totally. And so my baptism was so beautiful, and getting to share that moment with her, like, it was amazing. You know, it bonded us together. Like, I can't explain it, you know?
I just got baptized on Saturday. Did
I
you see
seen
that?
it, and that's what was like, oh my God, I did. And I was just like, oh, like my love for God, and just
same. You know, I mean, I think I've said this on here before. I don't know. My walk with Jesus was very complicated. I don't know why. I didn't have any church hurt growing up. I mean, I don't know why it was so complicated. I don't even know if it was that, like, you know what okay, I shouldn't say I don't know why. Really what it was, I just felt like I was placing religion in a box, thinking that it was like this. And I had just felt like God and Jesus was so much bigger than any one religion. And so I think because I felt like God was bigger than any one religion, I just shut off completely to Jesus. I just associated Jesus specifically with Christianity. But here's the deal. I've come in keeping my heart open and in walking this path. I've kept my heart open to truth, and I've started to learn the Bible, and I've started in keeping my heart open, Jesus was able to come in, and it's shown me so much. And still to this day, I mean, it doesn't mean my questions are completely gone. Doesn't mean I don't wrestle with some of these things that I feel and these ideas that I have, but it is incredible. Like, the love and light of Jesus truly does save and restore.
For sure.
100%. And I believe you can have a relationship with Jesus outside of religion, you know?
Absolutely.
But I have truly come to love the Christian church that I attend. And so for me, it's been a very slow, process of really allowing Jesus in and really learning who Jesus is. And we're all, I mean, Christ, again, that love and light of Christ. I said this in my post, once you see what I've seen, once you know what I know and feel what I felt, like, you could never unknow it, unsee it, unfeel it.
Right.
And it really is truly, like you said, when you went in the water and you came out, like, you feel like a different person.
I do. And I did. And I literally, even today, like, I feel like that was like a serious moment in my life and my sobriety, to where I was like, am I going to keep going like this? Or am I going to start healing and letting go of these things?
And like I said,
that are holding me down.
Healing happens in the spirit with Christ.
Right.
That's where true healing. We have to acknowledge the soul, and we have to acknowledge the body.
Yep.
So our mind, our emotions, we have to acknowledge all those things, but the true healing happens with Christ by our side. It really does. Yeah. And I honestly, the more I go down this path myself spiritually and with Christ, I'm just blown away. Like, the more I get to know Christ, the more it's incredible.
And I'm diving into it now too, getting into some Bible studies. I'm actually going to do my first Bible study tonight, because I don't know the Bible. You know, I know that God is in my life, and God saved me for a bigger purpose. And like my purpose in life is to give other people hope and let them know that there's a solution.
So true.
And you're not alone.
No.
And we do recover, but it's going to take work. It's going to take a lot of work. This shit is not handed to you on a silver platter.
No. And I will tell you, I started learning about the Bible just through going to church and just listening to the sermons and hearing the scripture. But same thing, I did not start really digging into the word myself until these last 2 months. Like I've done a little bit here and there where I would like read a little bit and then I'd stop. Like I was very inconsistent with doing it on my own. But the last 2 months with this new book that I have coming through, it is all Jesus at the center. And so I've done so much digging into the word, and I'm telling you, even that, like it's changing. I am literally living my book as I write it, and I'm walking it. And
I can't wait.
Even digging into the Bible and scripture, it's just transforming me on so many levels. So this is God is definitely doing something in your life huge, and it's just going to continue to transform you.
Yeah. So like I get to work in treatment. Yeah. I have the best job. I get to record a podcast, and I get to do social media and all of that stuff. So I get to, raise these kids like they're my own, and I get to work on mending a relationship with my daughter. Yeah. Again, I know that once God softens her heart and she doesn't have that fear, I'll be here ready for her. Yes. And I can't force it on her. No. It has to be at her time. Absolutely. And she's going to have to walk through her own healing. Oh my God, there's so much that I just don't even, I'll talk to you off air about that relationship, but there's a lot of stuff that has come up just recently, actually, that makes a lot of sense. And we'll get there. She will get there to where I'm going to be in her life more. Yeah. I know that. I know that God wants me in her life. Well, he can redeem all things. Absolutely. And look, at one point when you were telling your story, you're like, my sister was done with me, my parents are done with me, and don't blame them. Like I don't blame them at all. Like I fully understand why people get to those places with their loved ones. Yeah. And also I have seen time and time again that nobody is ever too far gone. Right. And I say this all the time, and I get it. It's families. You have to put up boundaries. That is so key. For sure. And also put up those boundaries, but never lose hope. Right. Because I have seen people change that you would have never guessed. Never imagined. Right? And how many times did you go in and out, in and out, in and out? And totally. Look, you have almost 8 years now. Oh my gosh. That is incredible. And I get to go back into the jails. And let's talk about that for a minute. So that, that's my heart beats for that. Mine too. Yeah. So I am badged to go into Maricopa County Sheriff's. I get to go into the jails, the county jails, and I get to go into prison. So, that we've got to talk. Yes. We've got to talk because this is where I want to go. I know. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to connect you with some people because I feel that is the most vulnerable point in people's lives is when they're in. So I get to take the meeting into the jail every Sunday. I take a crystal meth anonymous meeting, and I get to go to an intake dorm now. Mm-hmm. I go to K dorm when E or F is on lockdown. K dorm is now a working pod. Okay. So that's where I was. Okay. And I was housed in there, but it was an intake dorm when I was in there. But I get to go back in that, in that pod and talk to these girls and let them know, I'm planting that little seed. What are you going to do with this timeout? God put you in a timeout. Mm-hmm. There's a reason you're in here, and it's to save yourself. But what are you going to do with this gift? Are you going to talk a big game while you're in here? Or are you going to put action to it? Are you going to put it into action? So I use my badge to both worlds. Mm-hmm. I bring my program in there and I do the program, but I also plant a seed of hey, love that. You can go to treatment. You call me when you get out of here. I'll get you into treatment. I'll come and pick you up from jail and get you into treatment. You just got to call. Yeah. And there are some girls, so with Crossroads, we work reach out so they can actually get time off of their sentence and they can come and get released to Crossroads and go through treatment. So good to hear they're going a rehabilitation route. And that's amazing. Yeah. Yeah. So I get to do that. And then when I'm not recording my podcast, usually every other week, at least once a month, I try to go to Perryville on Tuesdays, and I get to go to Lumley. And For ones that don't know, Lumley is a really hard yard. It's a medium yard, but a lot of lifers are there.
Yeah.
Jody Arias.
Yeah.
She's there. I've had many conversations with her, and I'm just so fascinated by, I just want to get in her mind for just put me with her for 30 minutes. And
I know somebody who knows her personally.
Oh my gosh. It is mind blowing, really. But getting to go back into the jails and the prisons is so near and dear to my heart.
What do you see when you're with those girls?
They're so broken. So broken. And they just want a solution.
Yeah.
They want to be able to, get better and build this foundation while they're in prison or jail so that when they get out, they don't fail,
Yeah.
And I've had Dr. Thornell, the executive director of all DOC. I had him on my podcast back at the beginning of the year, and
Amazing.
Watching him as a leader is just absolutely amazing because he is about rehabilitation.
Love that.
I get to go to parole orientation every Thursday, and the ones that are just coming out, and give them a resource of hey, it's okay if you mess up. There's a solution to this, but let's get a hold of it so that you're not going back to jail or you're not going back to prison. They don't want to send you back. They're trying to build this, setting them up for success and not setting them up for failure. So the classes, the meetings, they're allowing volunteers in there. Now, granted, I'd never been to prison. I only went through county, thank God. But being able to go back in, I go in with my friend Colby, and she did 7 years on the specific yard that we get to go to. Wow. And she's done 7 years of her life on there. And now she gets to take a meeting back in there, So that's where my life's purpose. I'm living it. I'm living it.
And once you're in tune with your life's purpose, then there's no need to go back to all these other things. You now know, this is what fuels you. This is what you're here for.
It is.
And when you're following the path, there's no need to do all that.
So I got to go back into Perryville a couple months ago in March, actually. I got to go and do a hair cutting event with a place for Hannah. And they have an event coming up in October. I'd love to try to get you to come in with us. But I got to go in and do haircuts, and we got to go onto Santa Cruz and do the haircuts and then style their hair. It was like they were in a beauty salon for a day.
Oh.
And for those 8 hours, just loving on those girls. And we ended up doing 109 haircuts, got over 600 inches donated for Locks of Love.
Wow.
It was amazing.
Wow.
And those girls loved it. They were so grateful to have somebody just come in there. I had one girl come in, and she came in with a picture, and she's she ripped it out of a magazine, and she's like, this is how I want my hair. And it's pink. It's just like my hair, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh. And she was so excited about it. And she had been in there for 20 years, and
wow.
She's like, this is all I've wanted, is just that moment of wow. And she still had 10 years to her sentence. So she's not getting out anytime soon, know?
At the training I was taking this morning, they talked about how we as humans all have these core needs too. And if our core needs are not met, every time we're going to fall into these struggles. And basically, to sum up what the core needs are, we need to be seen, known, heard, and loved.
For sure.
That is what, as humans, that's what we need. And so belonging was in their significance, all these things, but to be seen, known, heard, and loved. Right. So everything I hear you saying, when you say they're so broken, it's that's the human, that's the world issue that we face. Right. But on a spirit level, we're whole.
Yeah.
But again, we become disconnected from that.
Right.
And I believe that's the root of all this. As you're talking and I'm just processing, it's not homelessness that's the issue. It's addiction underneath that. Addiction leads to that. It's not like all these people, most of them that are incarcerated, what were they doing before that? It's addiction that led them there.
Right.
You know what I mean? Drugs. Yeah. You know, I should specify because there's all kinds of different addictions, but yes,
absolutely.
like, yeah. And that is ultimately what leads people to that. Yeah. And, you know, it's interesting because as I'm listening to you talk too, like, as you know, I have not personally walked the path of drug addiction and incarceration, but for some reason, my soul feels
God keeps pushing you towards it.
And my soul feels so at home.
Yeah.
When I sit with people who have struggled with addiction and are incarcerated and homeless. And I really think what that is because I've sat in NA meetings, AA meetings, and I have felt no different, meaning sure, maybe my struggles or my brokenness might look different than your brokenness or your struggles, but at the root of it, we're all living this human experience.
Yeah.
We're all broken. We've all, because life has got to us.
For sure.
And so that is where I connect on that level, human to human. Doesn't matter what our, you know, what led us to these broken places, you know? And so that I just have a heart for the hurting and a love for the lost like you. And I just want to go in and love and meet those core needs that people need to be known, seen, heard, loved. That's what Christ does for us. And so we receive that and we work that in and out to those around us. Yeah. It's so beautiful.
That's what life looks like today, you know? And then on top of all that, like, you know, work and doing this social media stuff has like opened so many doors for me and my modeling. Like,
well, look at you. I mean, you guys,
thank you.
Your look is stunning. It's just,
you.
I've always said I have one tattoo down my spine because I got it in honor of Alex. I didn't know. I was like, I don't know if I'm a tattoo girl. I love tattoos, but me personally, and I was not just going to get one to get one.
Right.
But once a meaningful thing came and I love it, it's down my spine. But I think tattoos are the most beautiful thing. They're just like such a piece of art. My husband has a full sleeve. I just personally am like, I don't know if it's my thing, but you
don't discriminate against it.
My
and
gosh,
that's great.
No.
Some people are like, oh God. It was funny at the hospital a little bit ago.
Yeah.
This little old lady, she was like, I don't have any tattoos, but honey, you are gorgeous and you are just rocking that.
You are. Like, that's what I'm saying. Your look is just incredible. Like,
thank you.
Yeah. Not everybody can pull that off. My point is, I don't know if I could pull that off. You know?
I got you.
And so, yeah, I love it. So you're modeling.
My modeling.
So do you model like for tattoo magazines? I don't know what.
I've done some modeling for tattoo stuff.
Okay.
My husband and I own a tattoo shop.
Yeah.
So we have that. And then I ended up joining a pageant and I ran in the pageant last year in November and I won for $1 Million Diamond pageant. I won Miss World 2024 and I get to go into the pageant this year and they are making me a lifetime queen and I'll have my sash and crown forever.
Oh my gosh.
So, and with that, I have gotten to go to New York and walk in New York Fashion Week. I literally had a billboard in Times Square. Like we were all on the billboard.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
like, I am a shout out junkie from North Phoenix. And here I am in the middle of Times Square and my face is all over it. And I'm just like,
look what sobriety does to you.
Look what sobriety has done for me. Look what God has done for me.
God for sure. God first. Yes,
God
100%.
first. And I get to go back in September and go to New York Fashion Week again. And I got
the more
casted.
alignment you are with God, right? The more doors that open.
And I got casted for 2 shows this time. I'll actually be walking in Times Square this year as well, which is, again, crazy. Like, I can't even make this shit up, you know? But it wouldn't be, I wouldn't be able to do this if I didn't have God in my life. And I wouldn't have built this foundation with my program, you know?
So true.
And that's why like everything just comes full circle. And I just look at this, like looking at Taylor in that bed today, it was like, I could lose all of this. I could lose the relationship with my children. I could lose my husband. I could lose my tattoo shop. I can lose my job. I can lose everything.
Because you've already been there. You've lost everything, right?
Right. Everything. I don't want to ever feel that again. I don't ever want to feel that again. And I just want others to know that it's possible. Like you said, there's nobody that's so far gone that they can't change their life. 100%. You have the ability to change your story.
Yep, 100%. I mean, you are living proof, and so many people that I have on here. And gosh, yeah, what would you leave listeners with today? Again,
like I said, like you can do anything you put your mind to, but you have to put in the work. You have to put in the work. You know, I tell sponsees this all the time, like you can do everything you want and more, but you have to put God first.
God first, yeah.
And you have to do this work. You have to do your steps. You have to start seeking outside therapy and really getting to the root of the problem. Otherwise, you're going to be miserable. You're going to be irritable and discontent. You're going to bleed onto others that have never hurt you before, and you're going to get loaded.
I was going to say, so what was different this time?
This time around
than it was the prior?
Honestly, it was that I was finally doing it for myself, and I wasn't doing it to appease everybody else. Like I said in the beginning, kids are a good motivator, but you're never going to stay sober for them. No. I promise you. I did it. I tried it. 3 weeks away from my reunification date with my daughter, and I got loaded.
And how many times do we see that? We see that all the time. I mean, so many people listening can probably relate.
All the time.
These are the real realities. This is the real shit we face as humans. Yeah. You loved your kids. That was not, but that couldn't be the motivator.
It wasn't.
It was, you weren't loving yourself.
Right.
That was the issue.
Until you love yourself and put yourself first, you're never going to stay sober. You're never going to stay sober. And I love myself today. Like I can genuinely look myself in the mirror and be like, I love you. I love you. You are amazing. You're doing good things. You're changing the world. Like everything that I'm doing in my life is thanks to God in this program, you know, and I am forever in debt to this program. You know, I still, even 7.5 years sober, I still go to 2, 3, 4 meetings a week.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
I have to.
Yeah.
I have to keep watering.
I love that you're not lost. Even when you said you were looking at Taylor today, that it's not lost on you that you could fall into it at any moment. Like you're not immune. None of us are. None of us are.
None of us are.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I've seen people that have literally had 20 years sober and went back out. And I've had a friend, may she rest in peace, blew her head off because of the guilt and the shame of relapsing and not being able to get better. You know what I mean? And it's because we don't do that extensive therapy and get to the root.
Yes.
So,
yeah. Well, Christin, thank you for coming on and talking about the real shit and just being so raw and sharing your story. I know, I'm certain that it's when people share like this that it gives other people hope.
It does.
And hopefully we can continue to prevent.
We absolutely will.
These overdoses that are just so rampant with fentanyl now from happening, but also just save people like while they're here to actually find freedom while they're still alive. For sure. You know, because many people go on living addiction for years and years and years, but we want them to find freedom,
absolutely,
while they're still here.
I just want them to feel like they are enough.
Yeah.
And they are loved.
They're never too far gone.
Right.
I love that that's come from your message today. Never too far gone.
Never.
Like you can be in and out of it. And if you have 20 years and you relapse, like don't let that shame get you.
Yeah.
It's like just getting right back up.
I always say like dust yourself off, pick yourself up, and let's get back into it. Yeah. Don't give up. Like we're human. We make mistakes.
Totally.
It's normal. But what are you going to stay? Are you going to stay in that shit? Or are you going to get out? You're going to dust yourself off and jump back into what you need.
Gosh,
so
true.
Thank you again for.
Yes. Thank you for sharing.
Absolutely.
Love you so much.
Love you.
All right. Till next time, guys.
Bye.
Bye.